Keenan, tell them about what that psychological change. I'm sure when you gave your life to Christ, you didn't have amnesia over the sin that you had.
Oh no!
I mean, you still remember how it felt. You remember.
Yeah, everything. Just like he was saying, our spirit is renewed, but not our mind. You know what I mean? So we have to get our mind to catch up with our spiritual man.
That's good.
Because we just like we remember everything we did. You know what I mean? The sex, the partying, the drinking, the smoking, and everything else. We still remember that, but the only way how we're going to transform from that is through the Word.
You said the Word.
That's the only way. That's why Christ said. He said, "If you abide in me, then I abide in you."
Yes.
That's when the transformation becomes. Because he said, "Without me, we can't bear any fruit."
That's true.
We can't bear any fruit.
There is no fruit bear without being connected to me.
No. So the only way how we're going to do that is the more we study, the more we go to church.
Right.
The more we go to church, the more we go to Bible studies, the more we come to men's breakfast, women's conference, and all these concerts and everything. The more we got to make sure we go there and live it like it's our last. Get all the information that we can so we can learn how to apply this thing. Why? Because I'm struggling.
Right.
I'm struggling in my mind. I'm struggling with what I see on TV. I'm struggling at school. I'm struggling at work. So I got to make sure. My God.
You're right.
Heavy, dog.
Now here's the thing. You was talking about going to conferences, and there were so many people. We're talking about Christians, believers, those are in church. Right. Many of you have devalued conferences and revivals and services and going to church because of what you experience at church. But consider what Keenan is saying is the bearing of fruit is connected with other believers. The bearing of fruit is where there needs to be a stripping of the flesh and the resurrecting of the spirit. Let me make this more practical. When you go to church, whether you're having a good experience or a bad experience, your spirit is still involved.
Right.
So whether you go to church and a pastor says something that didn't rub you the right way, or you go to church and you sit next to somebody and they're obviously in the flesh and they got an attitude problem, there is still exercising your spiritual maturity.
Right.
Regardless if you like what you see or what you don't like what you see. Go to a concert, you hear people who are singing out of flesh and they're singing out and you're so dissatisfied with what's being offered. That is the spiritual maturity that's trying to grow, trying to pull from the flesh.
Right.
How many times, when we go to things we're like, dang, I hate going to this kind of stuff, but this is all we have. What if the Lord set that up as an appointment to say there was a dissatisfaction in you, so I can separate your spirit from their flesh? Right.
Y'all hear this?
That's crazy. That's crazy. Jerry, talk about maybe some times when you've gone to some services or anything in church and you've gotten dissatisfied because you know there's more to it. There's better. How do you feel?
Man, I now since I've spiritually grown, I be feeling like my spiritual man be getting angry because I know like why are you just feeding them milk? Like why are you not giving them the truth? They need to hear the truth. All they want to constantly talk about is tithes and not talking about Jesus coming back, not putting forth His name. Sure. They want to constantly put on a show, you know what I'm saying? Constantly sing. What about the Word?
I'm with you.
So it's like, it be eating me up, and then I'll be tearing up because I'll be like, man, these people are really lost in here. Like, they need to come hear the truth. They need to go somewhere where they can hear the truth. So I'll be wish I could bring David to them. Just saying here.
Right. Well, in most of these churches, and again, I understand from some pastor perspectives that you have to preach them these practicals because you're building not just a church but also an organization. You're building a ministry. You're trying to bring wisdom. You're trying to teach them, and tithing is a biblical principle, giving offering and all that kind of stuff. But when it comes to setting a standard in your own personal life, there needs to be an undeniable commitment and dedication, not just to things that appeal to our emotions or things that appeal to us financially. But what about the spiritual growth?
Come on.
You know, like he talked about Jesus coming back again. I would assume the conversation when it comes to being prepared for Jesus to come back again is making sure that your lamps are lit, what the Bible would say. It means making sure that your eyes are peeled towards the sky. There needs to be a security or a waiting in your spirit that you know Jesus is coming back. You don't want to be found with your works undone. You don't want to be found spot or blemish. You don't want to be tainted. I'm sure you was sexing before. Now that you're saved and you know Jesus is coming back, you want to be left behind. So you refuse to compromise today so that when the Lord comes back, you can hear that sound. You know?
Because I was just reading last night where it was about Daniel, and then God said, told us to ask. Ask, seek, and knock. But a lot of us, we want to ask for those material things. And that's not what the Bible is telling us. It's telling us to ask for those spiritual things. Because anyways, we're going to get those material things that because he know God knows already what we need. So why should we have to ask for them? So be patient and just seek the kingdom of God first, because he said all these things shall be added unto you.
I'm with you.
So why are you just trying to seek these material things? What about the spiritual? You let your spiritual man die and just try to seek the material things.
Come on.
So don't just be on the material things, but be more spiritual. Be after this. Be after the kingdom of God, basically. Be after God. Seek His face, because that's what matters the most. These material things are going to devour. They're going to get devoured. They're going to decease. They're going to die out. It doesn't matter, because when we get to the kingdom of heaven, our gifts are going to be stored up in heaven. So let's store our gifts in heaven instead of on earth.
Good word, God. Good word.